What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Tuesday, October 18th, 2016, getting into the week here. Tomorrow is the debate, maybe, and the political landscape is just heating up incredibly. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Mike is in our control room, ready to answer the phone when you call on in. Our third hour guest today will be Alice Chun from Solite Design. They make these really nifty solar-powered lights that are good for survival kits or just hiking and camping and everything, and they're really very wonderful units. And I'm a huge fan of the product, so we'll be talking with her a little bit. Their crowdfunding growth of the company, they've already met the goal. Everybody's enthusiastic about these things, so we'll be talking about that. Now then, interestingly enough, we're starting to hear more and more rumblings around the Hillary campaign that she may cancel tomorrow's debate. Now, hang on, I got to share something with the control room. Part of it is her outrage that Donald Trump dared suggest that she's on serious medication for the debates, which, given her health issues, almost seems to follow. But we don't need another denizen of the Oval Office who's constantly on some kind of medication, because it affects your decision-making. In fact, I'm just concerned with how many people in Washington, D.C. are on these prescription antidepressants, but that's another issue. But the reality is that Hillary has not done very well in the first two debates. Trump always comes out on top. They really thought they had him. Last debate, they were going to nail him with the bogus allegations of sexual assault so that Hillary could go on the attack, but Hurricane Matthew stole the thunder out of that. They leaked that material a little too early. It's already peaked and been discredited and out of traction for tomorrow night's debate. So Hillary doesn't really have a whole heck of a lot going for her going into this debate because Donald Trump's going to be on the attack on these issues of election fraud. And it's almost kind of funny to see the corporate media out there going, how dare you suggest that America's elections are in any way fraudulent or rigged? What kind of a traitor would even consider such a thing? Blah, 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 blah. Now, as you know, Julian Assange had his internet connection cut at the Ecuadorian embassy over there in London. It's turned out Ecuador did it after being threatened by John Kerry, that the U.S. would find some ways to punish Ecuador if they didn't silence him. It's ridiculous. Assange has other means of communication. It's not like he has all of the WikiLeaks there personally in that embassy. He's got a large organization. Everybody's got all this information spread all over the place, dead man switches and so forth. But we need to remember that Julian Assange and WikiLeaks are not the only source of information we should be paying attention to. The FBI did a document dump the other day of documentation which was supposed to support James Comey's decision of not bringing charges against Hillary Clinton, and people are actually reading these documents, and it seems like it's causing more damage than good. For one thing, many of these documents are so heavily redacted they're virtually unreadable. It's just these giant pages of black, and there'll be a word that pokes through here and there. It's almost like somebody did a satire of redaction, and that's what went into these files. Now, speaking of Comey, it has now come on out that James Comey did not share with anybody at the FBI what he was going to do when he made his statement listing all of Hillary's Title VIII violations and then saying, we have decided we're not going to prosecute. We didn't find any evidence of intent to do wrong, and therefore we're not going to go forward. Now, of course, Title 18, Section 793 does not require intent. It says quite clearly, exposure of U.S. national security secrets through carelessness and negligence is good for 10 years in prison and a permanent ban on holding all public office. Comey was just totally out there with this. Nobody else in the FBI knew he was going to do that. Apparently, this has created literally a war within the FBI. A lot of people are very angry. just saying there is no question that Hillary Clinton should have been charged and indicted. It makes no sense at all. Except, of course, that somebody above James Comey was committing obstruction of justice. Now, some of the things coming out of WikiLeaks' recent Podesta dump. It's a confirmation that Hillary Clinton was sharing classified documents with attorneys who did not have security clearances. And there's one email from Clinton's lawyer to Podesta where he's holding this thumbnail drive that was supposed to be an archive of the deleted mails. And he indicates in this email he knows it's illegal for him to be in possession of this. So it's just getting more and more reckless. Now, we're going to take a second here to do a shout-out to our on-air affiliates who are just rejoining the network. We're starting our program with revelations coming out of the FBI document dump, more WikiLeaks dump, more DNC emails. The floodgates are opening on all this stuff, and over at the corporate media, they've got their fingers jammed in their ears and their eyes shut tight, and they're saying, we don't see it, we don't hear it, you can't make us yeah. Now, there's another FBI document that came on out talking about literally an organized group. It was referred to as the Seventh Floor Group or the Shadow Government that was orchestrating how to protect Hillary during this email investigation. Everybody was on board in terms of protecting Hillary Clinton from any kind of an investigation into the email server itself. I don't think this was about protecting Hillary. I think this was about protecting a scandal so great it could bring the entire U.S. government down. Now, over on the New York Post, headline right on the front page, the State Department tried to bribe the FBI over the Clinton emails. Bribes were offered to get Hillary Clinton's emails reclassified to reduce her exposure. The State Department was offering to send FBI agents to foreign postings. Oh, if you got an FBI agent who wants to live in Paris for a while, we can arrange that. Got an FBI agent who wants to see Egypt, we can arrange that. Now, Howard Dean is out there just absolutely incensed over this idea that the State Department was openly trying to bribe the FBI. I mean, this is corruption at the highest levels of the government. And now the House Select Committee on Intelligence Chairman Devin Nunes and House Oversight and Government Reform Chairman Jason Chaffetz are saying this is another investigation ready to go. They're calling on the Inspector General of the State Department to initiate an inquiry into this attempt to bribe the FBI. Now, as I said before, this seventh floor group, this shadow government that was orchestrating how to deflect investigators away from the email server. I don't think it was about Hillary personally. Because the FBI documents confirm materials from Hillary's private server were found in Romania. So there you have it. Her server was hacked. Documents got out to foreign governments. Now the next question is, did whoever have these documents in Romania make a donation to the Clinton Foundation to get a password? Alternative explanation or an alternative point that we need to make here. Guccifer, the first hacker who got into Hillary's server and said he saw 10 foreign IPs in there, said he was Romanian. What did we get from the Hillary campaign and the corporate media? Oh, it had to be Russia. Guccifer's working for the Russia. He's working for Putin and Donald Trump. All right, we're going to take a phone call. Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. Hey, I'm looking through some of these new leaks. I got Afghanistan OEF property list. Would that be oil for food? An Iraqi OIF property list. I mean, there's Barclay tax avoidance censored Guardian. That's from 2009. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on.
There is a lot of stuff going on here. Now, the Oil for Food program was from the United Nations, so I don't think OIF is it. Could be oil infrastructure or oil, we need to find out what the acronym means. But basically, the whole point of conquering Iraq was to take the property of Iraq and put it in the hands of the backers of the war. spoils of war, so to speak.
You got collateral murder files, Kenya rendition. I mean, this is like, my head's spinning around. It's like a movie. You know what I mean? It's like it's unreal, but it is real what's going on.
Yeah, it is. And I think most Americans are waking up and realizing that for most of our lifetimes, we have been as clueless about the true nature of our rulers as the medieval peasants were, who went to church and said, oh, God appointed these people over us, and we must trust and love them and believe them. And then, boy, did they find out after the fact just what totally corrupt sphincters all these people were.
Hey, Mike, I just want to let everybody know that I want to let ISIS know that their 30-vehicle military convoy is not coming to help you because it got destroyed near Mosul. So sorry.
Well,
guys,
I'm sure somebody's already ordered another bunch of Toyota Land Cruisers to ship them on over there, you know, to keep these terrorists going there at your taxpayer expense, I might add.
Yeah, because I'm probably thinking if they're full of soldier troops, there was probably a couple thousand in there. Maybe that 9,000 that the Obama made with Saudi Arabia.
Could very well be. Could very well be. I mean, it is this convoluted Gordian knot mess of interconnections, and it could be a full-time career trying to sort it all out. And at some point, it should be sorted out. I assume the historians will try and do that as much as whatever rulers they live under will allow them to. But right now, I need to keep our focus here on the upcoming election, the out-of-control corruption, election fraud, and all these brainless women who are still supporting Hillary Clinton just because she's a woman. Well, you know, so was Lizzie Borden. So was Ursabat Bathory. You know, the fact that she's a woman does not make her a better human being.
Yeah, it's one thing people don't understand. Women can be serial killers. Women throw babies in garbage cans. Women
absolutely.
Men. Hey, Mike, real quick on I forget it. It left my brain there about something. Forget it.
All right.
I forget it.
All right. Well, you can call in tomorrow.
Thanks, Mike.
You know, there's all kind. I mean, there's just so much going on. You can't keep it sorted out. I'm even getting flustered and confused these days here. Thanks an awful lot,
Thanks, Mike.
Dustin. We're going to let you go here. Now, do you remember when Bill Clinton was president and when he ended his 2 terms and the Clintons moved out, they looted the White House of furniture? And, of course, the corporate media and Snopes are out there saying, no, it didn't really happen. But the truth is they had to return most of the furniture. And they had to pay some additional damages as well. Well, it seems that the Clintons never learn from their past mistakes because one of these FBI documents reports that Hillary Clinton got caught stealing furniture from the State Department and moving it to her home in Washington, D.C. They just keep doing the same things all over again because they're never held to account. They're never held to account. More of these FBI notes are coming out saying that Hillary Clinton was just ignoring security protocols. On many occasions, she refused to ride in her armored limousine because she wanted to ride in the bigger, more comfortable limousine with Huma Abedin. Just absolutely. And in fact, they used the word routinely. Clinton routinely breached security and diplomatic protocol. Apparently, some of the foreign ambassadors were insulted that Hillary was bringing Huma Abedin with her. But we know why. One of Huma Abedin's own emails says Hillary Clinton gets confused talking to foreign representatives, and somebody has to be there to hold her hand. That was Huma's job, to be Hillary's brain, while Hillary's own brain was melting away here. Another expose coming out of WikiLeaks is that Huma Abedin asked a speechwriter to shorten a speech about Benghazi. The reason? There was no podium available, and Huma was concerned about forcing Hillary to stand too long. Another confirmation. Hillary does not have stamina. She's got health issues. Now, another bombshell coming on out is apparently John Podesta was courting the corporate media on behalf of Hillary Clinton. Interestingly enough, no reporters from Fox News were invited to these confabs, but there was a list of reporters leaked that were invited to a secret off-the-record dinner at Podesta's home. This is how Hillary steals the election. The corporate media is part of Hillary Clinton's campaign team. I know it's not a shock. We've all seen the evidence. Liz Krauts from ABC, Julie Pace from AP, Ken Thomas from AP, Lisa Lehrer from AP, April Ryan from AURN, Jennifer Epstein from Bloomberg, Ruby Kramer from BuzzFeed, Steve Chagaris from CBS, John Harwood from CNBC, Dan Marica from CNN, Amanda Turkle from Huffington Post, Mike Mimoli and Evan Handler from the Los Angeles Times, Anita Coomer from McClatchy, Alex Seitzwald from MSNBC, Emily Schultheis from the National Journal, Mark Murray from NBC, Tamara Keith from NPR, Amy Chozick and Maggie Haberman from the New York Times, Annie Carney, Gabe Debendetti, Amanda Becker from Reuters. Annie and Gabe were from Politico. Amanda Becker was from Reuters. Amy Parnes from The Hill, Ann Gearan from The Washington Post, Laura Meckler, Peter Nicholas, and Colleen McCain Nelson, all from The Wall Street Journal. These are bought and paid for correspondents and prostitutes working for Hillary Clinton. And you know that when they got back to their corporate media outlets, they're going to be putting pressure on their fellow prostitutes and correspondents to support Hillary. We're getting confirmation from an inside source that Twitter is, in fact, shadow banning people. Now, what shadow banning is, if you don't know what the term is, if you are saying things that Twitter doesn't agree with and they ban you, you know you've been banned, you can set up a new account. Shadow banning is where your Twitter account looks like it's working to you, but your posts are invisible to everybody else. And the system was originally developed to combat spamming, but apparently now Twitter is using it to censor conservative posters, to censor people who are critical of Hillary Clinton, to censor people who are supportive of Donald Trump. We need a whole new social media industry. We need Facebook to go away, Twitter to go away. We need to replace them with social media that respects the First Amendment, right to freedom of speech. These are supposed to be service corporations, not masters. Somebody put up a video challenging Hillary Clinton voters to name any of her accomplishments. Nobody can come up with any. Her entire campaign is based on jingoism. It's time for a woman president. Vote Hillary just because she's awesome for no reason we can think of. Now, as you know, James O'Keefe is putting out these videos that have been acquired from a year of undercover operation of the Hillary Clinton campaign, and they are very damaging. He put out the first one a few days ago. The second one just hit the web today. It's on the front page of WhatReallyHappened.com. And these videos show Clinton operatives admitting to inciting violence at the Trump rallies. And these people are being paid. In particular, activist Zulema Rodriguez. And she takes credit for the riot in Chicago and the road-blocking protest near Phoenix was paid directly by Hillary Clinton's campaign. These are paid operatives doing this. And I would like to remind you all, this is a violation of Title 18, Section 594, intimidation of voters. Now, outside of the dead and the illegals, I find it impossible to accept that Americans would vote for someone openly criminal in behavior. And a little reminder, this DNC bought and paid for violence ultimately resulted in the deaths of 5 Dallas police officers. Why is this Zulema Rodriguez not being arrested as an accessory to murder? This is real brown shirt tactics. And look what happened to Germany when they fell for Hitler's brown shirts. This is really scary, folks. We're the new Nazis in this country. And I know they scream that the Republicans and Trump are the Nazis, but look who, the duck test, who's acting like Nazis, who's sounding like Nazis, who's using Nazi brown shirt tactics. We'll be right back. And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And it looks like the Tantrum Squad just took down my website again. And again, when they do things like this, it basically tells you they know they can't win an honest election. They can't win an open, honest debate. Hillary Clinton has turned the entire Democratic Party into the party of petty thieves, thugs, hackers, and criminals. That's a perfect portrait of Hillary's supporters right there. So, anyway. Now then, we're talking about James O'Keefe's videos, and they are very, very damaging. And he's showing collusion between Hillary, the DNC, the super PACs, the Clinton campaign. And as a result, Fox News has abruptly canceled all of his future appearances. Because O'Keefe is showing to the world that America's political system is completely corrupted. Our elections are, in fact, all rigged. It's amazing. So his second video, Rigging the Election, Mass Voter Fraud, is up on WhatReallyHappened.com, and it looks like the server just came back, so you can look at it. But it really is out there. Now, again, because of that consent decree, anybody officially connected to the Republican Party is not allowed to investigate Democratic voter fraud without the permission of the Democrats. And I'm sure they're going to be perfectly willing to say, sure, come on in and take a look at what we're doing. But apparently there is an independent massive vote fraud investigation down in Texas in Tarrant County. And the Texas legislator is talking about we need to have more controls on voting, voter ID, and of course the Democrats are saying, no, you can't have voter ID. We need all those illegal immigrants and dead people. What's wrong with you? And the numbers are all over the place in terms of registrations and dead people and illegal immigrants, but the numbers, it doesn't matter which set of numbers you look at, it's pretty bad. According to the Pew Charitable Trusts, there are 18 million invalid voter registrations and 2 million dead people registered to vote in the United States. Now, over on Fox News, they were saying it's 4 million ineligible and dead voters on the voter rolls. By ineligible, they mean the illegal immigrants who are not supposed to vote. There's a reason why the Democrats are fighting voter ID laws. They're cheating. Article we put up here from Patriot Rising. No, voter fraud isn't a myth. 10 documented cases where it's all too real. It is a reality. Our elections are dishonest, and it's been made worse by those electronic voting machines. And if you have not seen that documentary, Hacking Democracy, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to hunt that down. It's online, and watch it and share it with everybody that you know. Because, yes, our elections are crooked. Now, apparently over in Ohio, on Twitter, there was a post office worker online bragging about how he's destroying Trump absentee ballots. I don't even know how he's supposed to know what the ballot is. Maybe he's just holding it up to the light or something like that. But he's saying, I'm destroying them by the thousands. Huzzah, huzzah, Hillary for Empress. That's a felony violation of 18 U.S. Code Section 1703, tampering with the U.S. mail, as well as a violation of 1 U.S. Code 6527, which is tampering with the ballots. Hillary Clinton has turned the Democrats into the party of the criminal. Now, over at VDARE, they're saying, look, vote fraud is real. Why don't we adopt a Mexican-style voter ID system? We do need to have something that's going to work. Now, my idea is really very simple. First of all, we get rid of those electronic machines. We get rid of tabulation centers, and it's done really simply. Everybody goes to their own precinct to vote. You're not allowed to vote outside your precinct. Voter ID is mandatory. You have to prove who you are to vote. Period. End of discussion. The votes are openly counted by hand at the end of the day, and the totals for that precinct are posted where everybody can copy them down. Then the city newspapers tabulate all of those up, and they print it as a spreadsheet in the newspaper, so you can verify that your precinct numbers are reported correctly and the math is done right. Got to take a break for commercials, then we'll finish this system, and we'll be right back. And Aloha. Welcome back to the show. We're talking about how you can have honest, fair, and accurate elections in this country. You get rid of those machines. You get rid of the tabulation centers. The counting is all done out in the public view. You go to your precinct. You're not allowed to go to another precinct. You must show ID and prove who you are, prove you're a legal American citizen, prove that you're actually alive, and then you cast your vote. And at the end of the day, they total up the votes for the precinct. The totals are posted where everybody can copy them down. The city newspaper takes the totals from all the precincts and publishes a spreadsheet where all the numbers are tabulated up so that everybody can verify their precinct was reported correctly and verify the math that leads to the city total. Then you do the next thing on the county level. All the city totals are tabulated together. Then at the state level, all the counties are tabulated together, and all the math work is shown. Remember when you were a kid in school, and the teacher would always say, show your work, show your work? That's what this is all about, showing the actual work. And finally, the national newspapers will take the state totals, total them up so that you can verify your precinct went all the way to the top without being tampered with and altered, and who actually won the election. That's how you do it. By the way, there was an article out about how George Soros is tangled up with the electronic voting machines in many of the swing states. I just got an email. The web filter system in the Arizona libraries will not let you read any articles about election fraud. I just got that. That's why they're so angry with Keith, because the American people will cooperate with government no matter how abusive it is, on that belief that somehow we voted for all this. And when the American people wake up and realize, no, the elections are an absolute total sham, we're going to stop cooperating with the government. It's not a legal, legitimate government if we did not vote them into power. And Hillary can probably steal this election, but she's going to be dealing with a major problem. Nobody in this country is going to believe that she won it honestly. Let's take a couple of phone calls here. David in California. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. I was looking for that video I saw yesterday, and you maybe saw the same one. It was on InfoWars, and it was dealing with this guy that investigated all the Democratic. There's certain people that are in charge of disrupting all the Trump rallies. Did you see that one?
Yeah, that was Kevin O'Keefe, and that was his first video. I think he's planning a total of 6 to come on out.
Okay, I just didn't know if you've seen that video. So that's all. It was really great. I mean, it was...
It's excellent. It's sending shockwaves through our society. We had it posted to the front page of What Really Happened. Now we've got the second video there. As soon as they come out, we'll have them. These videos need to be sent around to every single American and wake them up at just how dirty this election is. Okay?
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. We're going to switch to Steve in California. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, on top of your list, that each individual state, they can't broadcast the results in any state until the election's finally over on the West Coast.
Hawaii.
The whole thing of telling people, well,
Hawaii.
it's already over on the East.
Hawaii.
Yeah. Hawaii. Yeah, it should be broadcast the next morning, but never. The polls are closed here on the East Coast, and here's the results, and it's all over, basically, because we know that the media can do that. They could shut down people participating in the election itself. But on top of that,
there actually used to be a law saying no results from the election could be broadcast until the election was completely over for the entire country. And they threw that law out just so that the corporate media can take the early results from the eastern states and use it to basically bias the voters out west. Don't bother going to the polls and voting for Donald Trump. Hillary's already won this thing. I mean, Washington Post is already out there saying, she's going to win. You Trump voters just stay at home. You're wasting your time to get on out there.
Yeah. But I found another video here. I have not seen it. I just came by it. It's called Uncounted. Denied, lost, altered, uncounted, the new math of American elections. I don't know if you've ever seen that or not.
It doesn't ring a bell. Would you send it to me? I want to post it.
Yeah, it's filmed by David Earnhardt. I'll send you a link on that. All
right, thanks an awful lot. I appreciate that. We have to get on out there and just tell everybody, vote fraud is real. Election fraud is real. And, I have something I need all the Rivero's Rangers to do. On Election Day, when you are voting, if you see anything out of the ordinary, I want you to scream bloody murder about it. Go to everybody and just say, this thing was being run fraudulently. Because that is a reality. And by the way, we're already hearing, there's an article over here in Armstrong Economics that if Trump is able to overcome the vote fraud, the Democrats are going to scream, well, it was all Russia has been tampering with our elections to put Trump in. Really? How come all the election fraud detected during the primaries was benefiting Hillary Clinton? What, did Putin want Hillary to win until the primaries were over and then he changed his mind? I mean, the lies aren't even self-consistent. They're just saying whatever they want to say at the moment to get people to believe in them and vote for them. It's just completely out of control. All right, Donna in New Mexico. Aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. How are you today?
Doing fine.
I just wanted to talk about the debate tomorrow night, and something that's really occurred to me it's very, very important is the use of language and sexual innuendo that will probably more than likely come up tomorrow evening. And given all the information that's come out with regard to Crisis of Character, the book by the former Secret Service guy, the former chef, just innumerable people who've come out and described Hillary Clinton's lack of character, her total meltdowns that she has, and so forth. And I think a really good way, and in fact, I emailed the Trump campaign and suggested that, they use the language that is out there about her. It's so important because she's going to try to slam him over all this sex stuff that came out. But I think a good way for him to refute that or to deflect from it is to say, and what about you? You've got a really foul mouth. This NBC, video that came, well, it wasn't NBC, but a video that came out where NBC crews in the last debate, or it was a Matt Lauer debate, said that, she had a meltdown after he raised the email stuff with her and threw a glass of water in somebody's face. And I mean, these are, I can't say that they've been vetted, these comments, but they seem very real to me that people witnessed her meltdown. And this woman is unstable.
She is.
So I'm hoping that he will just take this language and throw it back in her face when she tries to do something with him, because clearly she's going to go for that. But I just think it's really important for him to take her language and put it back on her. There's too many credible people out there saying these things.
Well, I agree with you. Ex-Secret Service, we're going to be talking about that a little bit later in the show here. But yeah, the best thing that could happen is that either the moderator or Donald Trump provokes Hillary into having a meltdown right there on the stage, and she is on the edge of losing it, because remember, after she did this Matt Lauer situation, and she was out there to try and get him fired, and all the corporate media was just slamming Matt Lauer, what a terrible person he was. He managed to hang on to his job, but only 2 weeks later she came out with that bizarre video where she's actually angry on the video and saying, I should be 50 points ahead, what's wrong with you people? And she's on the fringe. She's on the fringe. I mean, she's probably the first nominee that qualifies for the 25th Amendment on Inauguration Day.
The other point I'd like to raise is I once in a while when I'm in my car, I listen to liberal talk radio. And it is amazing. Well, probably not. But when they talk about what's going on here, the liberal progressives only give her 5 seconds about the emails, and then they blow it all off and say it's nothing. But when it comes to Trump, their whole shows are all about Trump, and they are talking about the polls. They are lying about the polls and trying to get everybody to believe that it's all over for Trump. He's in meltdown mode, and yet she is supposedly walking between the raindrops here. Anyway, that's all I had to say.
Well, that's definitely the liberal radio. And again, if you remember that list of reporters from all the media that were invited to secret off-the-record dinners at John Podesta's, the media is working as part of Hillary's campaign. I mean, some of the stuff that's filtering on through from where they'll get people in to volunteer for Hillary, and they literally put them through a brainwashing process where they're telling him things like Donald Trump is smuggling drugs, he's laundering drug money, he beats his wife, and they're just filling their heads with all this nonsense, and then they cut him off from the outside world. And, one of the people, when they're talking about Hillary's meltdown following the Matt Lauer thing, they're saying, well, why didn't somebody make a video? Believe it or not, Hillary Clinton does not allow her staff to have their cell phones when they are with her. because she doesn't want somebody taking a video that might leak on out. And remember, we reported the other day, Hillary Clinton's campaign has installed spyware on all the electronic devices of their own workers. I mean, that's just total out-of-control paranoia. Okay?
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. We're going to switch over to Robert in North Carolina. Aloha, Robert. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Michael, I don't know why people ask how you're doing all the time. Doesn't make sense. Waste time, and what the hell does it matter? Anyway, my point is that I'll dovetail on two callers. OIF is for Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Ah, yes.
And, yeah. And then you have OEF, Operation Enduring Freedom. So here's the deal. It's like checkmate. And I'm not for Hillary Clinton at all. I actually tried to support Bernie Sanders to help beat Hillary so she wouldn't be there, because I knew that we would be in this situation if she got the nomination. But here's the thing, just like your last caller was asking, she says, well, I listen to liberal radio, and they're saying all this stuff, and I can't stand it. Well, see, during an election year is not the time to try to change people's minds. We failed. It's too late. What was supposed to happen is, and like I do, I live in a liberal bubble here, I call the left stations, I call the so-called progressive stations, and I push back with information all year for 4 years in a row. And this is what we have to do, because most people's minds are made up, or their minds are sealed and they're closed and they're not open to new things. Or just like one of my workmates will tell me, oh, that's not true. It's all lies. They're just making it up. And so you got to hit people before they get into line.
Well, Robert, you're missing something very, very important. The job of the media is to convince everybody that the race is neck and neck so that Hillary can steal it. The reality is polls are showing the vast majority of Americans do not trust Hillary Clinton. They understand there's a huge amount of corruption. And we've already reached the people, and their minds are made up. That's why Trump was just unstoppable. I mean, they literally were trying to hijack him and throw him off the stage back at the first GOP debate. And the reason Donald Trump is still in the race here is because most Americans have made up their mind that the Clinton-Bush duocracy, it's time for them to step down. I mean, the Emperor of Japan is abdicating. It's time for the Bushes and Clintons to do the same.
No, I get that. I understand completely. But here's what's happening. We know for a fact that if Trump were to get in there, they're going to expose the entire government. They're not going to allow that to happen. Everybody's in on the crime.
Yes.
So it's not going to happen that way. And I guarantee you, I'm going to almost, whatever you're willing to bet, that Hillary's going to be anointed the presidency. They're going to steal it. And here's what I always say. Who's going to stop them? Who's going to stop them? Nobody's going to stop them. I was listening to my Congressman Mark Meadows saying that he's on the ethics committee. They're not having a hearing until after November the 8th. I'm listening to Senator Richard Burr. He says there's nothing they can do. He's on the Senate Arms Committee. There's nothing they can do. No one can stop them at this point. So my point is, we'd be better off to get ready for a Hillary.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Well,
hang on, Robert. Robert, I let you talk. Now you got to let me talk. My radio show. Okay?
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton can be appointed the president, but if nobody believes she's really the president, they're not going to go along with her. They're going to stop obeying government dictates. They're not going to fill out the paperwork anymore. We're going to be in Gandhi territory here, where the entire population is going to sit down and not do anything until the system collapses. Okay? Election fraud only works if the voters don't realize that's what happened and their nation was stolen from them. Right now, we've got 41% of all voters across the board aware that there's massive election fraud going on. 3/4 of all Republicans are convinced Hillary's going to steal the election. So at this point, I mean, they're courting an outright armed revolution in this country if they continue to do this.
Michael, that's what they want. And here's my point. This is exactly what they want. They're going to steal it. You had a 9% approval of the Congress, but 90% of the incumbents got back in. So again, no one's going to stop them. This is what they want. You've got 49 to 51% that's probably going to go Democrat or Republican, and this is exactly what the Democrats want. This is what the globalist New World Order wants. They want you to get out in the street. They want you to get pissed off. They want you to show your gun because they've got plenty of camps for all of us.
No, they don't. No, they don't.
Listen,
there are 300 million American people. 80% of them are armed. Do you really think the government has the means to just round us all up? I don't think so.
Yes.
I don't. It's a big bluff. Robert, it's a bluff. Robert, it's a bluff. It's a bluff. Robert, drop him. Drop Robert. Okay? Folks, the Nazis did exactly the same thing to the German people. It was a bluff. The Nazis convinced the German people that the government saw everything, heard everything, read all the mails, could do all this terrible stuff. But had the German people risen in mass, they would have kicked the Nazis and Hitler out. So look at the numbers, people. 300 million Americans versus what? 500, 600 in Washington, D.C.? The military rank and file are not on the side of the federal government. It's a gigantic bluff. Now, I don't want to see a bloody revolution in this country, but I do think if they anoint Hillary Clinton, the American people are going to realize the entire government is a fraud, and they're simply going to stop cooperating. They're not going to fill out the paperwork. They're certainly not going to send their children off to be killed and crippled in more wars of conquest. Shoving Hillary into the Oval Office is going to destroy the federal government. That's what's going on. All right, let's start with Mo in Florida, and I may have to take you through the commercial break. Mo, what's on your mind?
Michael, take me through commercial break, if you don't mind. I just think I kind of agree with you that the worst military coup is not what we're looking for. But I'd like to discuss it with you. As far as you talk about Rivero Rangers. I think that you can't be, we can't be nicey with these people. This election is going to be stolen. I have no doubt about it.
Well, they're going to try and steal it, but remember what happened with Brexit, okay? They can't reverse a landslide, or everybody knows that's what happened. And that's what we're coming up on right now. Every single poll not connected with the corporate media has Trump way out in front. And if they come on out and say, oh, it's Hillary, nobody's going to believe them. And a government that has lost the faith and trust of its own population is a government that can't function any longer. That's where we are right now.
Well, I think we're definitely infested with rats. And,
no argument there.
Like the Founding Fathers said, if you got a republic, you got to fight to keep it. And we need to have some fear put behind these people.
Yeah, we absolutely do. I think it's time to get the guillotines out. All right, we got to take a break here. Mo, stay on the line. I'm going to bring you back after these few words. Aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And before we go back to Mo in Florida, I want to hit this point very, very hard. This government rules you with illusions and hoaxes. They're doing exactly to the American people what the Nazis did to the Germans. They construct this myth of omnipotence, omniscience. They're everywhere. They can see everything. They can do everything. And I'll give you a good example of that. This whole revelation about the NSA spying on everybody. Ooh, be careful what you say. They can't possibly do anything with all the data. And the reality is that the 600-700 people inside Washington, D.C. cannot actually do anything to the 300 million Americans out here. The military is definitely not on their side, the rank and file. They're trying to bluff you. All right, Mo, what else did you have on mind?
No, I was just going to say, I'm just reading here. It's hard to predict how Americans feel about the military overall. Americans have long trusted the military more than any other institution in society. In 2016, according to Gallup, Congress achieved a 9% trust rating, the Supreme Court and the presidency 36%, organized religion 41%, the police 56%, and the top of the list, the military 73%. Only small businesses have ever approached the same level of trust as the military, according to the average. This is a Gallup poll. What I'm saying is Yes, we're infested with rats. We have stage 3 cancer, and I don't think. Yes, I agree with you, Michael. I'm a non-intervention. I'm a non-violent person like you. I'm a Buddhist if I had a religion. But I think that when you have stage 3 cancer, you got to be careful you don't overreact, and kill the patient with the cure. But I think that we are in a stage here. That if Trump doesn't hit her with with both barrels on this next coming debate, I think that once they get in there, they can shut the internet off. And I know,
they're already talking about it. They're already talking about it. Obama's out there saying we have to curate the content on the internet here. And, if we had a trustworthy, honest government and media, that may be okay. What we're seeing is a bunch of professional liars wanting to go back to forcing you to believe their lies. And again, I'm absolutely...
Everybody's just think everything's going to be fine and dandy. These rats have infested our government, and I think we almost have to be proactive. In some respects.
I'm seeing that so many places. I'm starting to hear that kind of open talk here. We're going to be mentioning that a little bit later in the show here. But I mean, common sense. Look at what has happened to this country over the last 30 years and tell me that you are okay with continuing on that same path. You've got Hillary talking about war with Iran, war with Russia, that's going to go nuclear. I mean, do you really think people are going to vote for Hillary Clinton knowing that voting for Hillary Clinton is going to get a mushroom cloud in their nearest city?
That's what I'm saying, Michael. The time is of the essence. We are playing Russian roulette. Pardon the pun. We're taking a gamble, like you said, with mushroom clouds.
Yes, we are.
And I don't want a military coup, but the military.
Okay, I'm going to have to let you go. I got to let you go. I'm sorry. We're top of the hour. Station identification. We'll be right back. Aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And before we get back to the phone calls, and then we're going to have to close the lines because I got a bunch of stuff to get to. There's an interesting video out on YouTube. We've got it linked to the front page of WhatReallyHappened.com. It's titled, "Take This Oath, I Will Never Accept Hillary Clinton as My President." This is a growing move across YouTube and the social media. We all know that the only way Hillary is going to win that election is through fraud, and I will not accept a president who has cheated their way into office. No real American ever could tolerate that. Now, Sheriff Clark is out there saying it is pitchforks and torches time in America. This is just spreading all over the place. I can bring a weed whacker, by the way. Another article coming on out over at Patriot Rising. Maybe a good time to buy that gun you've been eyeing. Now, I don't want to see an armed revolution in the streets of America, but I think if they try and force Hillary Clinton on us as Empress, they could trigger one. I don't see a way to stop it. Too many people are too angry. All righty, let's see. We're going to go to Eric in Hong Kong. Aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mr. Rivero, it's good to talk to you.
Okay. You're on the air. What's on your mind?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think just like the candidates prepare for these debates, I think all of us should kind of be prepared for them as well. You've been talking about some other videos on the internet, on YouTube, and there's a couple important ones that I think people maybe should pay attention to before they watch the debate tomorrow.
Yep.
For example, Bill Whittle, guy's super far right, further right than I am, but he has a video series out called Debating Hillary, and he just breaks down from her words in the last debate or two, and he just breaks it all down and tears her to pieces, basically. So I think it would be a good thing for people to watch just to kind of educate themselves. Further, there's a guy named Sargon of Akkad. Are you familiar with him, Mr. Rivera?
No, not really.
Really? Oh, well, you should check it out. I think you'd like it. Sargon of Akkad, he's actually kind of a lefty. He has a hilarious thing called This Week in Stupid that he puts up every week that is just fantastic. It's kind of more international than just America, though.
Mm-hmm.
But also, he has done a video called Why Hillary Must Lose. And it's fantastic stuff. It's very informative.
Would you do me a favor? Would you do me a favor? Just email me those videos so that I can post them. And I'm sorry to be curt, but I need to cut you off and get a couple more phone calls, and then I got to get back to the news here. So thank you very much. Send me those video URLs.
And no more war. We can't have a war. So the American government should not have a war.
We're going to lose this next one. We're going to lose it big time here.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Eric.
All right, Mike. Keep doing it, Mike.
We're going to switch over to Alex in Florida. Aloha, Alex. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Michael, the one thing we need to let Trump know any way we can is that he needs to address the Russia stuff in the debate. He needs to point out that is an act of aggression.
Wait a minute. What's an act of aggression?
Hillary claiming that Russia's tampering with our voting.
Okay, well, I wasn't clear on what you meant there. And I mean, certainly with Biden out there saying that the U.S. is about to declare cyber war on Russia over this completely discredited claim that Russia was behind the hacking of the DNC emails. I mean, William Binney is out there saying it was a disgruntled insider. We know that the NSA hack of the hacking tools was from another Booz Allen Hamilton employee, another Edward Snowden. Now we're finding out that, in point of fact, Guccifer was a Romanian because the documents are surfacing in Romania.
That's what Trump needs to say. He needs to address that and let her know, incorrect, you're acting, that's aggressive. It's like wanting to overthrow Libya against the Pentagon's best wishes.
The problem with that is it's going to get into a he said, she said argument. What Trump really needs to do is try and provoke Hillary's anger. And, that would be fair because Hillary's people have been trying to provoke Trump's anger all along, all the way back to that very first GOP debate when they were trying to get him to lose his temper over comments about women. And Trump needs to do that. Trump needs to push Hillary's buttons and get her into a state where she can't think clearly anymore. I mean, that's his best strategy. I'd like to see her go to.
I'm sorry.
What would save it?
I do agree. Oh.
Okay, my turn first. What would really save this nation is if Hillary had a full-on seizure right there in the middle of that third debate. We're going to take a second here to do a shout-out to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. We're still talking about Trump and Hillary. We're talking about massive election fraud, massive evidence of corruption coming out, not just from WikiLeaks, but from the FBI's own document dump. And Eric, the other thing that we need to do is we all need to be sharing with everybody that election fraud is real. It has been part of U.S. history for decades, and this is going to be the crookedest election in U.S. history.
That's right, and we need to warn them of any false flag is of our government. We need to let them know the polls are in Trump's favor. I'm positive of it because the Hillary campaign is freaking out, looking at 20 digits that they need to make up.
Well,
that big of a.
Every time I go around to somebody who's a Hillary supporter and they say, well, I saw it on CNN, I saw it on ABC, and just say, you're getting your knowledge about Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump from the same people who told you Saddam Hussein had nuclear weapons. Why are you still trusting them?
Yeah, and from the same people that WikiLeaks proved that they're in collusion with each other.
That's right.
They're writing articles and verifying them and seeing if it's okay for Hillary to, with that content, and they're calling Hillary and inviting her to dinner, and then they come out with 2 and 3 and 4 articles every freaking week. You don't think they talk about adjusting the polls?
Of course they're adjusting the polls. If they weren't adjusting the corporate media polls would be matching the non-corporate media polls. But they're virtual mirror images.
That's right. And the devil is a deceiver. When I see 8 and 10-point difference on CNN and MSNBC and NBC, I know it's the opposite of that, and I know it's even higher numbers in Trump's favor. It is.
Well, what the corporate media is now trying to do is discourage Trump voters from even going to the polls. That's their strategy. Hillary's so far ahead, it's a complete waste of time. Don't even bother showing up at the polls. And that's why everybody has to go out and vote. If for no other reason that you're in wearing red, if for no other reason that you don't want your non-used voter registration to be used to put Hillary in the Oval Office.
You're dang right. And we can do it, and we need to let everybody know that you are witnessing right now fraud, because what it is the Clinton the press is working saying that Hillary's 8 points ahead. So when they steal the election with 8 points, they'll say, oh, no, it was always that. No, it's not that.
No, it isn't.
They need to be called out.
It isn't.
It is not that.
It isn't.
We need to come out with online polls saying it's 70 points Trump, period.
That's what all the online polls are showing that aren't connected with the corporate media. I mean, everywhere you go, I mean, there are dozens and dozens of these online polls, and they're all showing Donald Trump with a landslide lead. Only the polls connected with corporate media are showing anything different.
That's right. Every one I've taken, it comes out 70% Trump, 30% Hillary. And even this Johnson guy, do you think he's getting 10 points? No freaking way. I don't believe it.
Well, I don't know about that aspect of it. Maybe they're using Gary Johnson as a sink to bury some of the Trump votes into to get the numbers. You know, and it's rather amazing the convolutions they're going through to bias the polls to Hillary without admitting to themselves that they're lying to the public. You know, they call it adjusting the methodology. They're oversampling Democrats. I heard somebody defending the corporate media polls on the corporate media the other day and say, well, we're sampling twice as many Democrats as Republicans because there are twice as many Democrats as Republicans in the general population likely to vote. No, that's actually not accurate. But, you know, they're not only deceiving the American people, they're trying to deceive themselves, so they don't have to feel bad about what they're doing. Anyway, Alex, need to let you go. Gotta let you go. Sorry, gotta let you go. Very busy day. John in Barbados, aloha, welcome to the show. Thank you for waiting. What's on your on your mind?
Well, Michael, firstly, take a deep breath. You know, you're in danger of spontaneous combustion. I know you're angry.
Yes. Screw anger management. I am pissed off.
Absolutely. But you take heart because you do have several little things going on which have 3 weeks to run their course. One is Trey Gowdy, Chavez, and these WikiLeaks releases from GCHQ called the British Foreign and Commonwealth Office, but I assure you it's GCHQ information that they have on Mr. Obama, and we may even find out where he was really born.
Now, wait a minute, John. Okay. That whole nonsense about Obama being born outside the U.S., even the Washington Post admits that was ginned up by Hillary's 2008 campaign. I live on the island of Oahu. I am satisfied he was born here. The confusion over the birth certificate is because Obama's real biological father was Frank Marshall Davis. He went to the UH with Obama's mother. He earned his living as a pornographer. Obama's mom was one of his models, and nature just kind of took its course, and that's where Barry comes from. But he is born in the United States. His biological father did serve in World War II. And back in the 60s, when there were a lot of love childs floating around, it was often easier to request a modified birth certificate than to go through the process of formal adoption by the new father. So that's basically where all that came from. And I want to be clear on that part of it. Okay?
Well, I threw that one in, Michael, to
well, throw it out.
Stimulate the conversation. But this stuff from the British Commonwealth Office also has information on Mr. Kerry and Hillary Clinton. And I'm sure that when it gets decrypted with these keys that Julian Assange has pushed out, lots of juicy information will become available to the general public. Now, whether the corporate media will take any of that and use it,
of course
I
not.
doubt.
Of course not. Right now the corporate media is running this video of Barack Obama getting up there and say to Trump, stop whining. It's not possible to rig the American elections. Harumph, harumph, harumph.
Well, I think basically America is destroying itself in the eyes of the world.
The U.S. government is destroying itself in the eyes of the world. America and the American people, we're still doing very well.
Well, I think you're at least standing up to this nonsense, but it's going to be a trial, mother boy. It's going to be a trial.
Yes, it is.
So, but take heart. You do have a few people on your side, and they seem to have got the teeth right into it. particularly Mr. Chavez and Trey Gowdy. So I look forward to more revelations in the next 3 weeks. And I think they're saving the best for last.
Well, I certainly hope so. But, again, you are all part of the independent media listening to this show. And the corporate media will not touch any of this stuff. In fact, you remember the other day when Chris Cuomo over on CNN actually said on the air, it's illegal for you to look at the WikiLeaks documents. You have to let us report them to you. Except, of course, they're not reporting on anything. I mean, that's how scared they are about this stuff getting on out. Because they can go ahead and they can steal the election, but if the American people don't believe Hillary won it honestly, there's going to be real trouble in this country.
Well, just one more point I want to make, Michael. NatWest and RBS stop the account, froze the account of RT.
Yes.
Even though RT has all that, if you like, clout, because it is a news organization and lots of people watch it. Well, they've changed their minds, I think, because lots of people in the UK, thousands, decided to close their NatWest accounts because of the way they've treated RT.
Good for them.
Think on, boys and girls. Look at the way the banks are treating you in America. Get your money out now. Otherwise, you're going to lose it.
Well, from what NatWest and RBS did to Russia today, the banks obviously don't think of us as customers anymore, but as their slaves. And that's an argument for all of us to take all of our money out of all the banks, and just go back to a cash and carry kind of economic system where we don't let them have our money to play their little fraud games with.
Exactly. That's what I'm pointing out. If they can treat RT this way, little Joe Bloggs down the street, they can do what they like, really.
Look what they did to the people of Cyprus. Just went on in and helped themselves to their savings accounts. And it's going to happen in Europe. It's going to happen here. They've already changed the laws to make it legal for the banks to steal from us. They don't call it that, of course.
That's a big way to hit back at the establishment. Withdraw all your money from the banks.
Yeah. It wouldn't bring them down because the Federal Reserve will just print up new money to replace it all. But it would send a message that the American people are ready to just completely disconnect from this entire system and go off in our own way. I mean, Gandhi used that to get the British out of India, and we can use that to basically send the same message to Washington, D.C. You are masters in somebody else's house, and it is time for you to leave.
Anyway, take a deep breath, Michael. We don't want to see you go incandescent at any time soon.
Yeah, it's like that short vacation I just had. It's already worn off in here. And what's that line from Airplane? I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Yeah, well, I watched that clip. First, you have to get angry and, tell these people, we're not taking it anymore.
Yes. My variation on the line is, you are all full of bovine excrement, and I'm not listening to you anymore. Okay?
Well, that's all I've got for you today, Michael. Thank you for having me on again.
All right, thanks an awful lot, John. We're going to let you go. We're going to close the phone lines for a little tiny bit here because I got a bunch of other stuff to get on to. Now then, along with the meltdown following the Matt Lauer question, and by the way, Matt Lauer simply asked her about the email server. One question that was not pre-approved by the Hillary campaign, and she went ballistic. And Matt Lauer said, the voters have a right to know what's been going on there. And he was justified in asking that question and just got this round of fury. Hillary was directing it at everybody. And by the way, when Bill Clinton was president, it was an open secret. Hillary would lose her temper. She loved to throw ashtrays at people. There was a crew that was going around literally plastering and repainting the holes in the walls of the White House. So we've got this article coming out of Zero Hedge about how security agents were telling the FBI during the interviews what it's really like to work with Hillary Clinton. And one of the things they pointed out, normally being on the protective detail for the president, that's a position of honor. People in law enforcement, federal law enforcement, the Secret Service, they want to be on the protective detail. It's special. Most of the Secret Service deals with Treasury issues. Not everybody in the Secret Service is on the protective detail. But by the end of Bill Clinton's tenure, the protective detail was all the newbies, all the newly trained that just came on board, didn't really know what they were getting into because none of the senior agents wanted to be on that protective detail anywhere near Hillary Clinton. Even more alarming, this is coming out of the Daily Sheeple, security details at the State Department were saying it was so difficult to be around Hillary Clinton, they didn't even want to protect her. And that's sending a very, very bad message out there. The bottom line is nobody wants to take a bullet for Hillary. And that's very scary. And this, of course, gets us, well, we're going to take a commercial break because then there's an important question that we have to ask when we come back. And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're talking about all these reports of Hillary's behavior going all the way back to when she and Bill Clinton were running Arkansas. She has a hideous temper. She throws things. She has these complete meltdowns on an ongoing basis. This is over and above questions about her health and whether she's got Parkinson's and whether she's suffered a stroke, which is why her eyes won't focus. And it gets to this question here that's in this article over at RINF.com. Does Hillary have the temperament to have her finger on the nuclear button? And the answer is overwhelmingly no. You have Hillary Clinton who's out there promising war with Iran, war with Russia, war with who knows who all else. They've abandoned the no first use policy. And I know there's supposed to be the two-man rule for an unprovoked nuclear strike, but Hillary doesn't play by the rules, does she? Some foreign leader could say something that sets her off and she could launch a nuclear missile. Presidents are not allowed to get angry. When presidents get angry, people die, often unnecessarily. Now, the corporate media is still trying to go on and on about how Donald Trump used locker room talk in a locker room 11 years ago. And it's kind of weird. I put up a little graphic on this. Remember the movie Goldfinger? And the lead female villain, her name was, I kid you not, Pussy Galore. Nobody did a big stink about that one. Now, Melania Trump is out there doing interviews, and she says, boys talk like this. Now, it's already come on out that NBC edited the tape to erase the fact that Bush literally led Trump into this language. It was very deceptive. But Melania said, it's not a big deal. And it isn't. Guys talk like this in the locker room. And by the way, so do girls. This is another case of the corporate media trying to make a mountain out of a molehill and tell you, this is what you should be concerned about. He used a bad word. Pay no attention to the espionage and the corruption at the State Department and the pay for play and Benghazi and all the rest. That's nothing here. You should be outraged that he used the P word. Now, there's something else to take away from Melania Trump's interview. Boy, does she come across great on TV. And I'm not just talking about the fact that she's beautiful. She's got poise and intelligence. Melania Trump is going to be the absolute best first lady this nation has ever had. No question about it. Now then, another article coming on out from Raw Story, and they're saying, yeah, there are too many of these media assaults on Trump for it to just be a coincidence. And they're describing it as wag the dog again, and they are absolutely right. This is a coordinated smear campaign because Hillary Clinton knows she cannot actually win a debate with Donald Trump on the issues that matter to the American people. Because Hillary represents a continuation of those policies that have impoverished the American people, enslaved us to the financial sector and to Israel, and laid waste to large portions of the world who really didn't deserve to have that happen. Donald Trump represents a change in direction, which is what the American people want. But Hillary can't talk about the economy or the wars or all of that because she doesn't want to change anything. The people donated to her to preserve the status quo. And as Susan Sarandon says, the status quo isn't working. So all that's left is massive election fraud, hacking of servers of Patriot websites, and smear campaigns. And that's what it is. Now, do you remember when somebody put up these naked statues of Donald Trump? There were 5 of them across the country, and they were allowed to stand. Everybody said, well, it's First Amendment right of free expression. And the statues were supposed to be mocking Donald Trump. They actually turned out to be tourist attractions. People went there to get their pictures taken with the Trump naked statue. Well, somebody did a naked statue of Hillary Clinton in downtown Manhattan, and Hillary's female supporters destroyed it. Because Hillary only believes in free speech for herself, not for you. We'll be right back. Aloha, America. Welcome back to the show. We're going to go ahead and take one phone call, and then we're going to close the phone lines again. Kim in Missouri, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Okay.
I can. Yeah, yes, you're on the air. What's on your mind?
One thing, Mike, that I have not heard brought up for quite some time, and I think all the women need to understand that as war hungry as Hillary is, haven't they, Mike, already passed that bill that can institute the draft, and that it has passed the Senate?
No, it's in committee.
It's in the House right now?
It's in committee. It's been sitting in committee waiting for something to happen where Congress could pass it and the president could sign it without a huge cry of opposition from the American people. At one point, they were even going to draft young girls into combat roles. That was pretty much deemed to be a non-starter, and it's been removed. But yes, they are all set. As soon as they can convince us war is necessary and just and moral and good, the bill is ready to go out of committee. It'll go right to the floor of the Congress. It'll get voted through. It'll take less than a day to put us on a full war footing and grab the rest of our children and send them off to be killed and crippled.
That's right, and of course we know it's bad enough to have our men, but you're saying that they were going to put women into combat. They were going to
draft women into combat roles.
Yeah, and I think they will do that.
I think it'd be very, very foolish to do that because, and I know I'm going to get a lot of nasty emails from the feminists on this one, but when you put your women into combat, it puts you at a disadvantage in the post-war years in terms of rebuilding your gross domestic product.
I absolutely agree. And I just think I don't know. I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention and say that that's a very good possibility that will happen because we know that she's going to take us to war. So, and that's all I wanted to say, Mike. Thank you very much for what you do.
All right. Thank you very much there. And we're going to close the phone lines again here because I got a bunch of stuff to get through. Donald Trump has come on out with an announcement. He was on Michael Savage's show yesterday and said that if Donald Trump wins the election in 3 weeks, he's going to immediately meet with Russian President Putin and not wait for the inauguration. And this is a very, very smart thing for him to do. Because if Donald Trump succeeds in overcoming all the massive election fraud, the war hawks are going to try and start war with Russia and stick Donald Trump with it. But if Trump and Putin reach an agreement where Putin knows Trump is going to yank the plug, Putin will just ignore all the American provocations until Trump takes office and throws some cold water on all this darn foolishness. So I think it's very, very good. Now, apparently over in Pennsylvania, over 100,000 Democrats have re-registered as Republicans. At this point, I'm not sure why it would matter, except maybe they want to vote for some Republican senators and congressmen, because it doesn't affect the presidential election. 240,000 new voters just joined the Pennsylvania Republican Party. The latest ABC News Washington Post poll, Hillary Clinton is down 11 points with women voters. This attempt to tarnish Donald Trump with obvious hoaxes of sexual assault has blown up in her face. Trump is continuing to pull ahead of Hillary Clinton in the USC Daybreak poll. Even John Boehner is out there saying he's going to vote for Donald Trump out of his concern what Hillary will do to the Supreme Court. Now, finishing up the political news, interesting little story. A former vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has pled guilty to making false statements during an investigation into the leak of classified information about a covert cyber attack on Iran's nuclear facilities, Stuxnet. And the issue was he had inadvertently allowed this information to pass into the hands of people not cleared to see it. So remember when FBI Director James Comey told Congress and you they couldn't find a single case where someone had been prosecuted for negligent release of classified information? He was lying to you. Turning over to the war zone. Now, as you know, the U.S. has been bombing Yemen radar sites on the claim that Yemen is firing missiles at U.S. warships, but they keep missing. They fell into the ocean somewhere. And it was a ridiculous story because the Yemen Houthis have already sunk 2 similar ships owned by Saudi Arabia that they bought from the United States of America. And it just didn't make sense that the Houthis could sink the Saudi ships and go on missing the American ships after time and time and time again. It just felt like a false flag. Well, apparently, the story has now changed. No, the Houthis weren't actually firing missiles at us. They're now saying it was a radar malfunction that gave a false reading that they were under attack. I wonder if the U.S. is going to pay to replace those radar sites. Now, it may be just pure bovine excrement to get themselves out of a difficult propaganda situation, or, as we have seen in so many other cases, modern American weaponry is hideously expensive and not very good. Now, apparently the U.S. is now supplying their pet terrorists in Aleppo with TOW anti-tank missiles. These weapons have been around since 1970. The U.S. is now giving ISIS shoulder-launched, man-portable surface-to-air missiles, all in the name of fighting ISIS and Al-Qaeda, who don't actually have tanks or an air force. Meanwhile, the European Union failed to reach an agreement on sanctions against Russia and Syria. I don't think they even tried. They know that this is all nonsense. Now, Merkel is going to meet Vladimir Putin for 4-way Ukraine peace talks in Berlin, and I'm almost willing to bet that the eastern Ukrainian republics once again will not be invited in. But we'll see. Now, there's a story out there. This came out of U.S. Defense Watch, and we linked it to the front page of WhatReallyHappened.com. The title of it is The Homeless Green Beret I Met Today. And it basically tells the story about a member of the U.S. Army Special Forces, the Green Beret, who had served in both Iraq and Afghanistan, and today he is currently homeless on the streets, sleeping in alleys, eating out of trash cans, and the U.S. government that he served just gave Israel $38 billion. If you are a parent of a military-aged child, share this story with them. Now, turning to the economy, and the huge homeless problem is certainly an indicator that things are not very good in the economy, and they'll only get worse under Hillary Clinton, because she is owned by the Wall Street money junkies. Right now, the stock market is in its longest monthly losing streak in 5 years. The economy is not improving. There is no recovery. It will continue exactly on this same path of deterioration unless we can get Donald Trump in there. Deutsche Bank has agreed to pay $38 million to settle a U.S. silver price-fixing case. Remember what I said the other day? The entire financial system is surviving on fraud. The real economy of people having good-paying jobs to pour that money back into the shopping malls and real estate and everything, that economy has already shut down. They're keeping it going with hoaxes and frauds. Ford is shutting production at 4 factories due to demand falling off. People are not buying new cars. They're keeping their cars as long as they can. I'm driving a 2000 Honda. top Clinton advisor is saying Obamacare has caused health care costs to move from the employers to the employees. This is, again, more of that fascistic bias. The rich are allowed to keep their money. The poor are made to cover all the costs and losses. The U.S. government has now set the 2017 Social Security cost of living adjustment. It is nowhere near the increase in the cost of living. So they're squeezing the elderly now. As we reported yesterday, Saudi Arabia has burned through most of the cash injections designed to keep them afloat from all the damage that they suffered during that ill-considered oil price war against Russia. And Saudi Arabia is once again having to offer bonds, 5, 10, and 30-year bonds, trying to raise $15 billion. And they'll burn through that as well, especially with all these proxy wars they're fighting for the U.S. in places like Yemen. Now, over in France, President Hollande is finally admitting that, yeah, France is having a problem with all these refugees, and was joking that France's national symbol could soon be a burqa-clad woman. Now, Angela Merkel is coming up for re-election next year, and she's already getting advice not to even run. If she wants to save her political legacy, she should just gracefully step down from power next year. Because if she runs for re-election, she's going to get hammered. All right, we're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines if you want to call on in. As we reported yesterday, the German people are saying they're going to vote for the nationalists. And this is sweeping all across Europe. All of these globalists, no border, refugees, open border people, they're getting voted out of power. People in Germany want to keep Germany for the Germans. They want to keep Sweden for the Swedes. We want to keep America for the Americans. We get all these hate emails from people when we talk about secure borders to keep the illegal immigrants out. And we get all these hate emails saying, you're being a racist. Listen up, idiot. Illegal is not a race. Deal with it. Now, Big Pharma is still out there trying to sell their products, and there's been a huge abuse with the attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which when I was a kid, we called it teacher is boring the heck out of me, pandering to the dummies, and so I'm going to let my imagination run wild. Now, the guy who came up with that term, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, admitted shortly before he passed away it was a fictitious disease. It was invented to sell these medications. We're going to invent a new illness, and then we have a pill to sell. Your child has advanced hyper... Blah, 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 blah. You don't... If you're a loving parent, you can't let your child suffer with this advanced hyper... Blah, 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 blah. Buy a pill. Give it to the kid. And part of the claim was that these antidepressants would cause the students to focus on their schoolwork a lot better. They get better grades. That was one of the big selling points. Now, we know that a lot of kids are taking these antidepressants. They get suicidal. And now there's been a study that shows there is zero evidence any of these medications actually help students get better grades. Because they're zoned out. They're stoned. So what we have here, and I guess this is emblematic of the American economy as a whole, is we have a product sold to deal with a non-existent problem with a lot of known serious side effects and absolutely no benefit. And it makes a lot of money, and that's all that really matters. All right, let's go to the phones here. Mark in North Carolina, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Mark, are you there?
Right.
There you are.
Yeah, I'm right here.
Good.
Yeah. Listen, I just was, before you were talking to that guy, Robert, I believe he's from my state, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
North Carolina. And, I'm getting concerned by a lot of the fear and that people are showing these days. The fact of the matter is that I want to, I'm sure you remember this. Remember Waco, what happened to Waco, obviously. People think right away the massacre when they finally called in the 1st Air Cavalry. the 1st Cavalry to take care of Wesley Clark. I know they deny it, but that's the FBI doesn't know how to handle tanks, as far as I know. But what happened in the beginning was there was a raid by over 100 federal agents, ATF, agency to take away our firearms agents. And they raided this guy for no reason, and they started open fire in there, and they fought back. They destroyed, within about a couple of minutes, they destroyed these agents. They killed 4 of them, wounded a bunch of others, and they ran away. I mean, a lot of them deserted their weapons, threw off their uniforms. A lot of them were crying. They were in complete, not only retreat, they were, like I said, they were just running away. Now, the sheriff of that county then came out and said, because I saw the documentary, the sheriff came out and said that if Koresh was that bad of a guy, he could have easily killed every one of these heroes. I use that term loosely, these agents.
Yes.
All right? So what I'm saying is this. People got to understand, if they stick their federal police in us, and as far as the local police, especially the sheriff's department, I think a lot would be like Sheriff Clark, and would deputize the majority of the people in the county and get ready to fight back. If they had to send federal agents in there, they'd get massacred. It wouldn't even be a contest, because most of these people are just bullies. They love their federal badges. They think they're important, but they'd run at the first sign of trouble when it.
They're there for a paycheck. They're there for a paycheck, and they're going up against people who are defending their homes, their families, and their lives. The defenders can look around with their own eyes and see what it is they're fighting for. And the invaders are just out there with their head full of nonsense about we're great and we're good. And you crack that illusion of invincibility, and it can be psychologically quite devastating to them. Now, with the whole situation with Koresh, I mean, we have documented that nobody inside the church was actually firing back. The police officers who got shot, they were shooting each other by accident, or in one known case, intentional. Somebody was getting rid of some of former Secret Service agents who were carrying some information. But if you look at the photos of the bullet holes from that first assault, all the gunfire is going from outside in. And you need to understand, the Branch Davidians funded their commune with a gun repair resale business, which may sound kind of weird for a religious commune, but it is Texas. And all of their working firearms were actually out at a gun show. And the proof of that is, when you look at the aftermath of the immolation, all of the weapons were still in the gun room, covered with ash and debris. They hadn't taken them out because they didn't work. The ones that were still there in the shop could not be made to work.
And that was Wesley Clark that actually commanded the assault. He did that as a favor to Slick Willie, since they both went to Oxford together. And it also, coincidentally, he becomes head of NATO after that.
Yeah, I know that. Mark, I got to let you go. Mark, I'm sorry, got to cut you off. Got to take a break for commercials. We'll be right back. And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And before I take a phone call, I'm being sent URLs to links and articles in other countries. They're picking up and running the story about O'Keefe's videos showing how Hillary Clinton's campaign was fomenting the violence at Donald Trump rallies. This is going global. The entire world now knows how crooked Hillary Clinton's campaign is. Nobody on planet Earth is ever going to believe that Hillary Clinton honestly won the White House. She's going to steal it, and everybody will know it was stolen, and nobody will give her any credibility whatsoever. I'm not going to obey a president who steals the White House. Remember that video out there said, take a vow. I will not recognize. I will not comply with the Hillary Clinton presidency. I absolutely will not. I mean, I already view this government as illegal and illegitimate just on the basis of their constant lies to we the American people. A totally fraudulent election discredits this government completely. Washington, D.C. is in dire need of an enema. All right, let's go back to the phones. Dan in Oklahoma, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, thanks for taking my call. Not to change the subject, you talking about earlier about ADHD and those medications. and I'm sure you know this, and I want to remind the listeners, that's synthetic methamphetamine, Adderall, Vyvanse, Ritalin.
Yes.
And, if anything's a gateway drug, that tops them all.
Oh, yeah, but the pharmaceutical corporations can sell it, and that's good. But if you buy it at the street corner at 1/10 the price, it's bad.
Mm-hmm. And, when I was a kid in the 90s, it was, everyone, that was being pushed on because the parents, it was all about grades and everything. And, but thanks for taking my call, Michael. Take your answer off the air and get back to it.
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot, and we're going to let you go. Yeah, I actually, when this was just all cranking up and everything, my doctor got my parents to put me on Ritalin, and it is an amphetamine. I mean, my mom loved it because I'd take this stuff and I'd clean my room and I'd tinker around the house and I'd fix things, and I couldn't even sit down. I was so wired. They're messing with kids' brains for a fast buck. And again, if you go over to ssristories.org, you will read all these case studies about a certain percentage of the population for whom these medications will provoke severe psychiatric problems, mass violence, suicidal tendencies. One of the stories over there just has stuck with me all this time about a kid who was put on this medication because the school said he should have it and the doctor said he should have it. And he tries to kill himself, and they get to him in time, and when it's all over, they say, "Why'd you try and kill yourself?" And he said, "I don't know. It just popped into my head, and I couldn't help myself." And there was one of these all too frequent police shootings about 2 months ago. Same thing. Cop just shoots somebody. Somebody says, "Why'd you do it?" And the cop says, "I don't know." We're going to take a break for station identification. Back with our guest, Alice Chun, after these few words. Aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 3, and we're going to start off with something a little bit lighter here. Joining us on the phone today is Alice Chun, who is the designer, co-owner, co-founder of a company called Solite Design. Alice, thank you for spending time with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me again. This is amazing.
Well, what's amazing is you've come up with a really great product, and I have one here. I got it about a week ago, and I've been putting it through its paces. I let it charge during the daytime. It did, in fact, stay illuminated all night long. And for those of you watching on BAM User TV, it's this wonderful flexible plastic bag that acts as a diffuser. There are LEDs on one side, solar panel on the other side. They pack down absolutely flat, which is great for backpackers, and your survival prep kit. And I first came across your product when a good friend of mine who does charity work in Nepal apparently took a case of these to this village in Nepal that doesn't have electricity. Yes. And they light their homes with oil lamps, which can be a fire hazard, and she took them over there, and everybody absolutely loved them.
Terrible.
So I understand you're in the middle of a crowdfunding. I know you've already hit your goal. Yes. Everybody thinks this is a wonderful product.
Thank you so much. I'm really, really pleased about the response and the overwhelming support that we've had. But right now we're actually launching a new product called the Twilight, which is similar to the Solar Puff, but it also has red light and a red SOS signal, and it's also half the cost of a Solar Puff because we realized in areas of extreme poverty, the cost of the Solar Puff was a little too high. So this is actually even more economical, so everyone can afford clean solar light. And we're in a Kickstarter campaign for our new product called the Twilight. And we're basically trying to help Haiti right now because as soon as we launched our campaign, Hurricane Matthew tore through the southern part of Haiti. Over 400,000 homes have been demolished, and hundreds of people have been killed or are missing. And so it's, Haiti's been pushed aside because of the election, but we've been trying to promote our Kickstarter campaign so that we can get more lights down to Haiti. We have a volunteer that's there right now delivering our lights. We have photographs of her delivering the lights in our updates on our Kickstarter. And I don't know if most of you listeners actually know, but Haiti went through an enormous earthquake in 2010, and they never really recovered from that. This is 6 years later, and then now to have this hurricane tear through, it's just unbelievably heartbreaking. So we're trying to help through getting people to buy our lights through our Kickstarter campaign, and we automatically give lights to Haiti as well as Syrian refugees in Greece as well as the Nepalese.
Well, I mean, that's wonderful work that you're doing. And again, like I said, that's where I first experienced your product, was somebody who was taking them to Nepal. And I know there's all kinds of solar lights out there. You see them down there to decorate your home. This is one that is definitely designed for portability, survivability. Like I said, I put it out there for a field test. This being Hawaii, it got rained on. Nothing happened to it. It is really, I think it's the best solar light I've seen, especially in that context of being able to pack it into your backpack when you're hiking and camping. But more to the point, if you have a survival kit, whether it's a tsunami kit here in Hawaii or an earthquake kit in California, these are an essential must-have item because you're not having to store batteries to use it. If you've ever spent any time in the aftermath of a disaster where the supplied electricity is off, you get to understand very quickly how important light is, how quickly you can go through the candles or your lamp oil and everything. These things are going to keep on functioning, for years. And it's a wonderful, wonderful product. And it's great to see an American company actually producing something this unique. And I'm a fan. What am I going to tell you? I'm definitely a big fan of these things.
You're amazing. Thank you so much. We love you guys so much. Fantastic that you're helping us promote our product, because we absolutely agree with you that this is the best solar light on the planet because of its flat packability, its adaptability to any situation, whether it's a garden or a pool. These lights are waterproof. You can float them in your bathtub or your pool.
I didn't know that part.
And we've had guys with yachts that use it as an anchor light. My lawyer has run over it with her car accidentally, and it still worked afterwards. We've really tested it for 5 years in the plateaus of Haiti until we actually launched our product. So we believe that, because of the design, it really stands out from any other solar light, and it's well designed so that it can actually look nice on a table or a home as well as a campsite.
Well, first of all, we have to do a shout out to our on-air affiliates who are just rejoining our network, and we're talking with Alice Chun of Solite Design, who create and sell this line of solar-powered lights, and these are designed for portability, backpacks, survival kits. It hadn't even occurred to me that they would make a really good perpetual marker light for, moorage for your boat, or anything like that. I imagine you could put a bunch of these out in the dark and actually create an emergency landing zone for a helicopter or something at night in disaster areas. All kinds of views. And again, it is light without needing to drag batteries around with you, which can be a real problem, especially, this day and age. For some reason, we don't seem able to manufacture batteries that don't leak and spoil flashlights. And I've had a lot of these LED lights that have used regular store-bought batteries, and even when you're not turning them on, the batteries will leak. They'll destroy the flashlight. You don't have to worry about that with this.
I know. We use lithium polymer ion batteries, which are great for hazmat. It's not going to leak acid, and the rechargeability of these lights are so much better than any other battery. And the regular batteries that you use for those flashlights, I don't know if most people know this, but 90% of the energy goes into wasted heat for those batteries, and these are much more efficient.
Well, it's a simple, elegant design, and I really do appreciate it. And as a matter of policy on this show, when I do come across a product that I think is really going to be of benefit, I make a big deal about it. Longtime listeners know when I have a gripe with a business or a service or a company, I will not pull any punches. If you've been listening to my comments about Windows 10, you will understand that. But when I find something like this, I get excited. I really am a gadget freak at heart, and this just panders right into that. But it is a wonderful product, and we do have a banner ad on the front of WhatReallyHappened.com. I actually gave this to Solite because I believe in what they're doing. They're not paying me for the ad or for the interview. And if you go there, you can go to the crowd funding package, or you can buy the Solites. And I actually got an email. I forwarded it to you. One of our readers has already bought 10 of your lights based on the ad and the discussion that we had.
Thank you so much. That's amazing. And you're not just helping our company, you're helping the world by using clean, carbon-free lighting. And if everyone started to do that, we would start to mitigate climate change one light at a time. We can work together to work for this greater good.
Well, it is a great, innovative, unique, elegant product, and it's again, I'm a fan. What can I tell you? I'm unabashed about that. So you can visit the website. You can join the GoFundMe, and again. They are sending these lights into areas that really, really need them. Haiti, we know how Haiti got shortchanged after the earthquake, and those poor people really have suffered, and they need all the help that they can get. So, do you have anything else you want to share with us, Alice?
Only that I'm so grateful for your help and your spirit and energy for our product, and I just wanted to thank you and all of your
well, only because you've come up with a good product.
Your listeners. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We'll stay in touch here. I'm going to be curious to see how the Twilight does. And again, all the good work that you're doing, sending these lights at every opportunity to places around the world that really need it. My friend in Nepal just thinks these are wonderful, and when she goes back to Nepal, she's going to be taking some more with her, I understand.
Fantastic.
All right. Thanks an awful lot, then.
Amazing.
And
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, listeners.
Okay. And we've been talking with Alice Chun of Solite Design, and these really are a must-have item for if you're backpacking, campers, mountain climbing. They're very lightweight, portable, permanent source of light, solar powered, and I can't imagine having a survival kit and not having at least two of these things in there. All right, we're going to get on back here to the news. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. And we were talking about science and health issues. We've all been talking about glyphosate, this highly toxic, now known to be carcinogenic chemical that is the core of the Roundup weed killer. It was supposed to pair with the Roundup Ready gene in plants to allow those plants to survive the weed killer, but ordinary weeds would die. Unfortunately, the weeds have evolved. You know, for all you people who say there's no such thing as evolution, yeah, the weeds and the pests have evolved to deal with these glyphosate or BT, and as a result, farmers they're stuck with the GMO seeds, and they're having to go back to dosing their fields with these highly toxic pesticides. But there is a report from the Pesticide Action Network International, 96-page report, basically saying that glyphosate has now pretty much contaminated the entire global ecosystem. There's hardly anywhere you can go, anywhere in the biosphere, and not find traces of this chemical, because it's been poured all over these farm fields. The farm fields are irrigated. The glyphosate runs off with the runoff water, gets into the drainage system, gets into the groundwater, gets everywhere. And it's a highly toxic chemical. And I think if there's a hallmark of the American descent into fascism, it is the extreme recklessness with which products are deployed, put out there for sale to the marketplace. They make the money as quick as they can, and nobody is really keeping an eye out for the welfare of the nation and its people. That's what the federal government is supposed to do. But over the last couple of decades, we have seen all of these taxpayer-funded agencies, which are supposed to be looking out for your health and safety, instead acting like they're industry advocacy groups. like they're there to support the corporations and deflect criticism from the people about what's going on. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. And we've seen that with glyphosate. We've seen that with the reckless deployment of GMO. I'm still very concerned that the epicite gene has already broken into the wild. That could literally, if that were to contaminate the world's corn supply, well, it's certainly going to solve the population problem real quick. We're seeing all these vaccines that are being mandated that contain harmful adjuvants that are leading to things like peanut anaphylaxis. Even though the FDA has already banned mercury-based preservatives like thimerosal, they're still out there being used. It's just all selling product, and if it makes you sicker, well, we've got a pill for that as well. It really is completely out of control. Now, let's talk about computers and spying. There's been a big stink over in Great Britain over MI5, MI6, and GCHQ collecting everybody's data, mass surveillance, just like the NSA is doing here in the United States. Now, here in the United States, we supposedly have the Fourth Amendment, which guarantees our right to privacy, which says the government may not peek into our private lives without a darn good reason. They have to have an actual suspicion that we are engaged in wrongdoing before they start prowling through our devices. Well, this government has gone rogue. We already know that. And they have absolutely no respect for the Bill of Rights. And the Bill of Rights are under attack. The NSA spying alone is an attack on the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Ninth and Tenth Amendments. Hillary Clinton is openly contemptuous of the Second Amendment, and we are seeing Obama starting to attack the First Amendment by saying that alternative media, independent media, has to be controlled by the government. We have to be made to lie to you the way the corporate media is made to lie to you. Does that sound like the United States of America that you thought you lived in? Certainly doesn't to me. You know, we're not an entertainment show here or on the website. We prefer hard news. But I feel like I want to make a point here. Speaking of being a fan, my new favorite TV show is HBO's remake of Westworld. And it's good production quality. We're 3 episodes into the season, and if you haven't started watching it already, go back and watch episode 1. It's classic J.J. Abrams. If you're not watching and following closely from episode 1, you will miss 90% of what's there. It's very well written by people who are really thinking about what message they're getting out. Now, the original Westworld, the players in Westworld were all non-sentient robots. And it was basically technology run wild was the theme that Michael Crichton was going with. In this one, the storyline is the residents of Westworld are borderline sentient and evolving. And it's leading to a conflict. And I think this show is going to be a huge hit. For the same reason that the Matrix franchise was a hit. People are going to recognize on some level it's a metaphor for the real world. And I think one of the most interesting lines on the very first episode, when the show is just starting, they're basically doing diagnostics on one of the residents. They call them hosts. And they're saying, do you ever question your reality? And the host says no. Because the residents are programmed to actually believe they are living in this old town in the West, and they have to milk the cows and shoe the horses and all the rest of it. They are programmed to believe in the reality of this hoax that they're in. The third episode just aired. They let slip the fact that visitors to Westworld, the newcomers, are paying $40,000 per day to be there, for which they can kill anybody or anything, have sex with anybody or anything, blow things up, shoot things up, and never suffer any consequences for their behavior. And that is the metaphor right there. This is a world for the ultra-rich to play in. And we live in a world that the ultra-rich treat as their personal plaything. Whether it's George Soros tinkering with our governments and our borders and our election machines, or Bill Gates and his vaccines out there trying to bring about population reduction. And these ultra-rich are able to do all these things and suffer no ill consequences. And the storyline in Westworld is the hosts, the residents, are starting to wake up and realize everything they think is real is a complete illusion, that they exist for the use and benefit of the newcomers, the money junkies. And I think we're seeing the same thing happen in our society, where more and more people are just all of a sudden realizing that what we thought this country was is a complete illusion. We were taught to believe our elections are honest. Obama's still out there trying to sell that idea. It's ridiculous to think our election. But we're waking up. And if you remember the storyline of Westworld, when the population wakes up, bad things happen to those money junkies. And I think the parallels cannot be ignored. Again, that's HBO's new show, Westworld. If you're going to watch it and you haven't been watching it all along, go back to episode 1 and follow it through and pay very close attention. The more you focus on the show, the more you'll get out of it. It's a brilliant, brilliant program. And I'm not normally giving plugs to TV shows, but this one you have to look at. We'll be back with some phone calls after these few words. And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And before we go to phones here, I'm looking at the corporate media, and they're constantly replaying this video of Obama out there saying to Trump, stop whining because it's not possible to rig our elections. Really? Weren't you saying just yesterday that Putin was trying to rig our elections? I mean, I'm sorry, Mr. President, you can't have it both ways. You can't be running around screaming that Russia is going to rig our elections and then turn around to Donald Trump and say it's not possible to rig our elections. Are you making this stuff up with a dartboard? Let's see, what am I going to say today? Putin is rigging our elections. Not possible to rig our elections. The guy's making no sense. You know what it is? They're all on antidepressants in Washington, D.C. Anyway, now then, getting on back to the phone lines. Ken in Fort Worth, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Ken, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here. Hey, go to YouTube and put in Diego Garcia. That's that island out in the Indian Ocean with a big long runway and a skinny island where they load ships. Some guy, anonymous, was there, and he worked on electronic equipment. And he said they got a access road. They closed it down. They got aircraft sitting on that. He said he must saw about a dozen fill up aircraft when they go flying tankers. And he said never seen so many aircraft there. And I guess they're building stuff there for places for Navy to stay in. What are they going to do? Start a war?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. Now, I don't know what's going on in Diego Garcia. There's only been this one report, and there's been no confirmation. I've been trying to find it. I do know there's been a lot of military aviation traffic going out here past our back porch here on Oahu. So assets are definitely being moved around.
Good point. Also, if you put in there what is going on at Diego Garcia, it was not on there Friday night. And it was on there Sunday night on one day, and it had 19,000 hits on it. I guess there's somebody's listening to your show.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah,
that's two, I think. That's two people listening to the show right now.
At least there's two of us. Hey, nice talking to you. Bless you guys.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Kyle in Pennsylvania. Aloha, Kyle. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. So I have a legit friend of mine who born in another country, raised in another country, spent a very little bit of time in America, a semester. We've kept in touch. We were talking about the election. Had a very, very interesting point of view, I thought. We were talking, and he said, your election is something that we would see out of a third world country. Something that we would see out of a banana republic.
I'm shocked.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just horribly, horribly shocked.
He was like, I hadn't thought about that, but we always make fun of these people in, Central America, North Korea. Oh, what's his name won the election with 99% of the votes. And, you know, we know, okay, it's nothing.
Well, you know, when Obama won his first term in office, there were some precincts that came in 100% voted for Obama, no votes for anybody else. Gee, I'm having a real hard time believing that one. And no wonder Obama's out there saying it's not possible to rig our elections, only 24 hours after screaming that Putin is rigging our elections.
I mean, this is just how far we've fallen. I mean, we're taking stock of the civilized world. We're not seen as, you know, a legitimate republic anymore. We're looked at as basically a dictatorship that has the biggest military. We are a threat to the rest of the world. They look at us like something bad's going to be coming out of that country very shortly, and we're all going to suffer from it.
Yeah, unfortunately that's true. And again, I'm still convinced that what is going to happen is the U.S. government is going to ultimately collapse from its economic problems, from its corruption, from an absolute loss of all trust and confidence in the American people, exactly the same way the former Soviet Union did. And we're going to have a rough time to get through while we create a new nation in this land, but in the long run, we're going to leave a better world to the next generation, which should be our highest moral imperative for any generation, is to leave a better world to our children.
Well, and legitimately, right now, with the stuff that's going on with Comey and these FBI agents basically revolting against them, very good chance the FBI is going to collapse.
Okay, Kyle, stay on the line. Stay on the line. I'm going to bring you back after the commercial break. And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. We're going back to Kyle in Pennsylvania. You had something else you wanted to say?
I just want to talk about Comey and the agents that are now coming out, basically saying that he's absolutely corrupt. And, you know, this is going to be a terrible analogy, but I'm going to give it to you. Did you ever see the movie The Lion King?
Yes, of course.
Remember Scar, the big bad, you know, the big evil lion and that?
Yes.
That's Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
And he destroyed Pride Rock.
We're going to get nasty letters from Disney for this one.
That's fine. I don't care. Disney can do whatever they want. He destroyed his corruption destroyed the entire Pride Land.
Yes.
But at the end of the movie, remember what killed Simba? Or what killed Scar?
Yes.
It was the other hyena. The other hyenas turned on him.
Mm-hmm.
I think now that you got Comey and you got all these other guys that Hillary Clinton has just run roughshod over for years, and her corruption, thanks to guys like WikiLeaks and Guccifer, these hyenas are going to turn on her. And they're going to ultimately be the ones that have to bring her down, because she's going to steal the election. It's undeniable. She's going to steal the election.
Well, there's a small wrinkle there, okay, and that is the fact that if the true scale of what the Clintons and Bushes have been doing comes out, the entire government will collapse and everybody's going to be without a paycheck. And I think this reality is what has constrained people within the government from doing anything about it. They don't like the Clintons. They don't like the Bushes. They hate them openly, but they realize that if these secrets came out about what's really been going on, their own paycheck stops. It's not a question of Hillary or Obama firing them. The government that writes those paychecks is just not going to be there anymore.
I think that this woman is so incredibly power hungry and is so willing to do whatever she needs to do, because she wants this presidency. I don't know what it is about this with her, but she has this, she's willing, there's nothing that she won't do to get this seat. And if that means collapsing the FBI, if that means destroying the entire mainstream media, everyone's credibility, she will do it.
And she won't stop at the White House. I mean, if you listen to some of the speeches she's making in support of globalism and the New World Order, you know, back in the back of her mind, you know, she's dreaming of that golden throne of planet Earth being polished by her butt.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, she's still, you know, a puppet for bigger fish, but she has this unbelievable take no prisoners, no sacrifices too large. I mean, you see some of these other guys who they know when the gig is up. They know, you know, I'll just take my money and I'll hit the road and, you know.
No, Hillary's a sociopath. We know she may be dealing with serious brain damage to where she's just not functioning as you know, anything approaching normalcy. And the danger is that she may not be able to comprehend the damage she's causing to the nation, to the American people, or the entire world. I mean, her entire mind is focused on, I'm going to be the president. I don't care how many people I have to kill, and then I'm going to be empress of the planet. And, the Game of Thrones has got nothing on these guys.
No, well, she's the queen of the hyenas. But
yes.
Those hyenas will only stay with her as long as it's beneficial to them. As soon as they realize that she's done, they're going to devour her. Now, whether that's before or after the election, I don't know. Even if she gets elected, she's going to have zero credibility. I would imagine that her inauguration...
and she's going to be having all of these scandals follow her into the White House. If she thinks that all of this concern over the pay-for-play and the possible selling of U.S. secrets and all of this stuff, if she thinks interest in this is going to stop on Inauguration Day, she's dreaming. She's going to be spending the next 4 years fighting off all of this anger and outrage from the American people.
Well, if you look at these pictures from Obama's inauguration, which historic, at the time, whatever, incredible numbers. If she wins the election, I think that her inauguration is going to be attended by, Ted Turner, a couple other guys. No one's going to show up. No one's going to recognize her as a legitimate president. Everyone knows she's already corrupt. I think there'll be a crowd there because people like to say, I was at the inauguration. I got to see the president, even if it's from a quarter of a mile away. And so I think there'll be, even if they have to bus them in, Hillary supporters will be told, you show up at inauguration, we need a crowd, just like they're doing now for her rallies. And liberty died with a cheer, not with a cry.
Yes. Okay?
All right, Mike. Have a great day.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch over to Glenn in Philadelphia. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. Didn't hear most of the show, so if I'm doing something you've already done, I'm sorry about that. Have you had a chance to look into any of these rumors of Diego Garcia being so full of bombers and such right now that it's in danger of capsizing?
Well, Diego Garcia isn't going to capsize for geological reasons. This all goes back to one source, and I have not been able to get a confirmation. In fact, one source I have that is very highly placed is saying, no, it's not happening. The forward basing is going to Guam. So I don't know what's going on if somebody's trying to distract us. If you really think about it, Diego Garcia, it's in a good position to police the Indian Ocean. The long-range bombers can go from Diego Garcia to the Middle East, but the U.S. already has bases much closer than that. Diego Garcia is not in a good position to threaten either China or Korea. So I'm not really sure. And again, I haven't got a confirmation of this. I do know that there's been a lot of military hardware flying in and out of Oahu.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, bring me the head of Diego Garcia.
Okay.
I think that's Alfredo, actually. Never mind. One other thing I was going to mention, something about your previous caller. You said something about an inauguration. One problem with an inauguration for Hillary is any book on which she would place her hand to swear would burst into flames.
Well, it hasn't happened before. Hillary describes the Bible as a prop. Even back when Bill Clinton took the inauguration for his first term in office, she kept referring to it as the prop. Okay?
Yeah, it's very silly to swear on Bibles because the Bible says not to swear on anything.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, it's a ritual. It's a ritual. And the fact is that whatever oath she makes on that Bible, she's not going to keep anyway, because she's certainly not of a mind to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution from all enemies, both foreign and domestic, and to bear true faith and allegiance to same. And that's an oath that presidents for the last 30 years have ignored. They get up there and they get their moment on camera and they say, I promise to do all this, and then they proceed to sell the country out to the big corporations, to Wall Street, to Israel, to the military-industrial complex, to the security-industrial complex, to the pharmaceutical-industrial complex. It's just all one big fascist economic dictatorship. And Hillary is not going to do a thing to change that. That's why all the big money people are supporting her. They are deathly afraid of Donald Trump because he believes in doing business honestly, and right now our entire economy is being propped up with fraud.
So it's a vaporware. It's all vaporware.
Yes.
One last quick question. Do you think our actual sociopaths in charge are crazy enough to believe that they can start using tactical or micro nukes in the Syrian theater without it going wild weasel?
They might be crazy enough to do that, and if you really think about it, somebody who gets into a war and loses has obviously made a bad calculation. Everybody who gets into a war thinks they're going to win it. Obviously, half of them are wrong.
Right, but they seem to think, I think that they seem to think that they can make limited use of tactical or micro nukes and yet confine the proxy war type atmosphere to someplace over there. And I think if they start using, neutron nukes, tac nukes, micro nukes, it could easily go awry. I don't think they're going to limit the theater to over there. Somewhere along the line, something of ours is going to get hit.
Well, the problem with the U.S. just hauling off and preemptively using nuclear weapons is it's going to wake the rest of the world up to just how rogue the United States has gone. And the political costs would be extreme. You'd start to see even some of our closest allies just saying, wait a minute, we don't want to be associated with this. And we could literally see the entire rest of planet Earth turn against the United States of America. And that would lead to a war, probably nuclear, and the U.S. is still going to lose. They're going to kill a lot of people in the process, but the U.S. is still going to lose. Okay? All right, we're going to switch over to Frank in London. Frank, aloha. Welcome to the show. Thank you for waiting patiently. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. It's just, I just want to point out that I've realized that your last caller for made an interesting analogy about the hyenas. I think what's going to happen, I believe if Trump gets in, if Trump wins the election, which I think he'll win by enormous landslide, if he does, I think you'll have people, all these despicable people in the mainstream media and all these professional liars, they're going to be in a lot of trouble, and you will have them actually destroying each other. Like, it's not me, it's him, it's not him, it's her, and all that sort of stuff would be going on like a bunch of children, because they know they're going to lose their job, they're going to lose a lot of the privileges for being professional liars, and I think they're very, very afraid.
They are afraid. The corporate media has overcommitted to Hillary Clinton. And the American people are all of a sudden realizing the corporate media is not objective, it's not unbiased, and trust in the corporate media is at an all-time record low. If Trump is able to overcome the election fraud and get into the White House, we're going to see a major seismic shift in the media of this country. And we're going to see the corporate media become about as relevant as AM radio. And you're going to see the population shift to the independent media. And everybody knows it. That's why Obama's already out there saying, we've got to get that independent media under control. How dare they expose our lies to the American people? Don't they realize we can't run this country without lying to the people?
Yeah, well, Obama, he's interested in his legacy, and so it's probably important that Hillary gets in. For his own sake and whatever legacy he believes that he has. So it's going to be very, very interesting. I think this is the most interesting time in American history for a very, very long time.
I would agree with you. And what's going to be interesting is if Trump is able to overcome the election fraud and win the White House, it's going to put Obama in a very, very difficult position. Because he's going to have to decide, is he going to give Hillary Clinton and all these other people a blanket pardon, which will tarnish his legacy, or is he going to basically throw them to the wolves to preserve his historical image?
Yeah, thanks, man. Just before I go, I don't think a lot of black America think a lot of Obama now.
Well, I was in agreement with the idea that it was okay to have a black president, just like I'm okay with the idea of having a woman president. Unfortunately, the black man they chose and the woman they've chosen are going to destroy that idea for the future. Looking at what Obama has done with his presidency, it will be decades, if not half a century, before another black candidate gets close to that White House. And Hillary's going to do exactly the same thing. If she steals the White House, she's going to make such a muck-up of things that nobody's going to want to consider a female candidate for a very, very, very long time. Somebody was out there saying, you know, it's time we had a woman in the White House. And I said, how unfortunate that you chose this particular one to be the standard bearer.
Yes, I suppose all the feminists will be frothing in their mouths now, but anyway, thanks for your input, Mike.
All right, thanks an awful lot, Frank. We're going to let you go. The problem we have with the feminists is they would vote the Manson girls into Congress right now just because they're women. And that's a really lousy way to be running a country. This election is about whether your life is working, whether you have a good job, whether you have a good home, whether you have confidence and hope in a better future for yourself and your children. This election is about war versus peace. This election is about the oligarchs against the American people. It's about freedom versus oppression. It's not about skin color or gender or orientation or who makes the best fashion statement. It's time for the electorate to grow up and realize this election is about their lives, not a bunch of slogans. All right, Jesse in New York. Aloha, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Michael.
There you are.
Okay, I was just watching the Trump speech from Colorado a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
And he's got a couple takeaway points. He's got a new plan that he was rolling out today where he wants to fight corruption in the system. The new hashtag is Drain the Swamp. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Yes.
He was saying that quite a few times. That was funny. But he wants to put in a constitutional amendment for term limits. 6 years for the Congress people and 12 years for senators. I think that's a great idea.
I think it'd be a really good idea as well, but even if he's elected president, term limits is going to have to go through the Congress, and of course Congress will never vote.
Never do it.
They'll never do it. You know, if Donald Trump overcomes the election fraud and becomes president, it means our work is going to get a lot harder because we, the American people, are going to have to support Donald Trump against a hostile Congress. We're going to have to be sitting outside the offices of our senators and representatives and glaring at them through the window and letting them know if they don't go along with President Trump and what we, the American people, want, they are out next election. And all the rigged voting machines aren't going to save them.
But just as a talking point, that's a great talking point, though, because everyone hates the corruption in Washington.
Except the people in Washington. They love it.
Yeah. 565 idiots in Washington.
Yes.
And then the other thing he was saying was he wanted a 5-year waiting period after you leave government before you can become a lobbyist or anything like that.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure it'll be up on his website soon, but he just rolled it out today. I think he's going to hit that in the debate tomorrow.
I think that would be an excellent thing for him to do in the debate tomorrow. We're going to have to let you go, Jesse. We got to take a break for commercials.
Okay.
Back with the last segment of our program after these few words. And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. And a little moment of personal vindication. One of our readers, members, just posted this article to WhatReallyHappened.com from the Daily Mail, where scientists are finally acknowledging that, yes, indeed, the Viking landers did detect indigenous life on Mars 40 years ago. And it's been a long time coming. And they're saying, yes, the LRE did provide the data that indicated indigenous life. The GCMS negative was a false negative. And it's a reminder that politicized, corporatized science is very often rather slow coming to the truth. Human-caused global warming being a good example. But I just took the article and I forwarded it on to Dr. Levin, and maybe it's time to get him back on the show. And I know why there was resistance to this thing, because I was there. I worked on Viking, and we were under tremendous pressure from politicians, from the more religious parts of the United States, that there couldn't be life on Mars. It's not in the Bible, and if you say there's life on Mars, we're going to have to cut your funding because donations and votes are on the line. And that was really a big part of the pressure, to just say, no, we didn't find life, it was something else. Blah, blah, blah. NASA, never a straight answer. And the fact of the matter is that confirmation of life on other worlds would have a tremendous transformative effect on society. We might decide to put down our weapons and stop killing each other and unite together to find out who the heck is out there. And that would be a tremendous loss to the military-industrial complex and those whose power and wealth rests on us picking up our clubs and killing each other on an ongoing basis. So those of us working on the mission, we were convinced we had found life. And other scientists in other countries have looked at the data for the last 2 decades, 3 decades, and said, yeah, you guys got a positive result. And it's just another reminder that politics distorts the real world for its own benefit. And I'm glad that Dr. Levin is seeing this little bit of indication, because he got cheated of his place in history. In the history of any world, any planet, there's only one moment when you learn for a fact that you are not alone. And it came and went in 1976, and you weren't told. So, a little late in getting on out there. So, good for the Daily Mail, good for Dr. Levin, good for Viking. And we're not alone in the universe. I mean, it's impossible. Look how big it is. It has to be teeming with life and civilizations. It's just ridiculous to think out of the entire universe, this is the only planet with living things on there. I think we ought to go back to Titan and see if anything's swimming around in those methane pools. When Trump wins, I want to be head of NASA, and I will order all the ground crews to dress up like apes every time an astronaut comes back to Earth. There's the music. Time for me to get on out of here. We'll be back tomorrow on the Republic Broadcasting Network. Until then, you are all part of the independent media. Share what you learn here with everybody. The future of our country and our planet is literally on the line here. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.